Hey guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. So this week we're going to be working a little bit on the Eclipse here. My daughter is out of the country for spring break. She went on a school trip over to Europe. She's touring 3 different countries over there and having a ball. But while she's gone, I thought I would go ahead and surprise her and get working on this car. There's a few things that she did direct me to not do because she wants to have her hands in it. But she left free rein for a few other things. So as we progress through this video, I'm going to share with you what it is that I'm doing. So what I'm in the middle of right now, and I probably should have started this video sooner, but I got a little excited, is the door locks. So honestly, I can't remember if I talked about it in a prior episode or not, but when we bought the car, both door locks were inoperable. So basically we just couldn't lock the car, and the car's been sitting either in the garage or right outside the garage door. And, you know, we live in a super safe neighborhood and we've got our garages on the back side of the houses and everything. So that hasn't been a super big concern, but it is something I wanted to address pretty quickly. So I went ahead and ordered new lock mechanisms, new door actuators, new cables and all the things. And I went ahead and dove into this passenger door. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're looking at and we'll get right into it. So as you can see, the door handle has been removed. I did go ahead and remove the actuator and the rods and everything that connect to the handle. So it's all just free flowing, and actually all the new stuff's right here on the floor. So we've got the new rods and all the parts. And so basically it's just gonna get assembled opposite of how I took it apart. But this is the new actuator setup. And I'm gonna show you the old one and how rinky-dink it was. So I'm not sure exactly why, but there you have it. So someone had really manipulated the crap out of this thing with a series of zip ties, and I actually cut 2 zip ties to take this thing out of the car. As you can see, the cable is completely chewed off, and someone some point did also try to repair this cable. It was broken in 2, and so they had a cable tie connecting them. And so anyway, the long and short of that was, I'm guessing the driver door looks the same. I'm not really sure what happened or why, but I'm gonna spend a little bit of time getting this thing reassembled. It came apart super easy, just kind of a how-to real quick. Basically, the actuator itself, 3 screws, but I mean, they're kind of a hex bolt. Okay, so 3 of those. The rod, basically they unclick from both ends, and then this little piece, I've gotta pop this out. The new rods have a new piece in it, so that just is the guide. And then as far as the handle itself goes, there's 1 screw here on the edge of the door. And then as you can see, this one here, which is accessible from the inside. So I got in here with a little 10 millimeter wrench and was able to pop that sucker off. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and reassemble, put it all back together, and get that wrapped up. But before I do, I'll show you the next thing that I did. I went ahead and got her a really nice leather wrapped shift knob. Now the one she had, let me see if I have it still over here. The one she had was kind of a faux carbon fiber. And it was, yeah, right here, totally faux carbon fiber. It was actually wearing off in some spots. Like it's just black right there, right? So I got her a really nice leather one. Also because she's still gonna be learning, I wanted it to have the gear indicators on there. So it's got a really nice 1 through 5 with the R and ready to go. When I go to reassemble that door, what I also wanted to do was paint the door panel. Now, if you remember, the inside of this car has a black dash, black console, but the lower part of everything is beige. And then the doors are beige. And so Emma and I had talked about making the doors kind of a 2-tone, maybe carrying the black through this section. And then, you know, the door handle, the vent, the window knob, the crank, the handle, all those things can stay beige and kind of create like a 2-tone effect that transitions through the door, so that behind the door, we then transition back to the beige color. So while I had the passenger door apart, and I'll do the same for the driver door, I did go ahead and start painting this. So we'll take a quick peek at it. It's still a little wet, so forgive the glare. But what I did do is I removed the vents, obviously the door handle, the grab pocket handle there, and everything. And so, yeah, I basically just used a rattle can, and first I wiped it down so that you know, no grease or anything was on there, and gave it a couple of coats. It's actually setting up really nicely. It's pretty cold out, but yeah, it's actually doing a pretty good job. You can see the tape's kind of lifting here, so I'll have to maybe touch up some areas. And then I did notice there's a little bit of some bubbling here, a little bit more right here, maybe right in there a little bit. So there might be some spots that need some touch up. And I mean, I didn't sand these first. I probably could have or should have, but I wasn't sure how they'd accept the paint as they were. And so I didn't want to do a ton of prep work. Worst case scenario, I order a new set of panels, but I'm really actually kind of pleased. I think that turned out good. And then underneath here, obviously, the bottom portion is beige, and those need to be cleaned up and washed also. But so far, so good.
Well, like always, I did a crappy job of documenting this whole thing, but it did go back together quite well, and everything is looking really nice. So I finished the passenger side door. It is right here below me. I'm going to show you guys that in a moment. I'm also going to show you the finished door panel back on the car, and then one other thing I took advantage of while the car was open and the door panel was off and everything. So I'm going to flip the camera here and we'll talk about it.
The door panel is back in place. It is painted, and you can see the two-tone effect is in full swing. Actually, I really like it. It's obviously much more glossy than the factory dash. And I've got to say, I'm sure that the sun will sort of fade those panels a little bit. I don't know, maybe not. But once the door is closed, which I have yet to do because I just want to let that paint dry a little bit more, I really think it's going to look good from the inside. But what I was saying, the other thing that I did while I had everything apart and exposed was I went ahead and painted these sills black. Now, you're probably wondering why, and maybe you don't like how it looks. You can already see the jams weren't painted when the prior guy painted the car purple. It's still that factory beige, or I'm sorry, factory maroon color, which, I mean, honestly, I kind of like that color from the factory, but I'm guessing that the paint was super beat up, so they decided to paint it purple. But at some point in the car's life, you can see this kind of goopy stuff right in here. These are just like glued down. So somebody must have broken all the tabs and just sort of threw a bunch of goopy adhesive under there, and it just looked like a mess. So I decided that I would use some texturized rubberized undercoating and just give them a little coat that cleaned them up a little bit. There was kind of some black tar stuff kind of sporadically throughout there, and it's the same stuff that's right in here, and this goopy stuff over here. So again, giving it a black paint job kind of masked all that. It gave it a good clean look. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it. Honestly, this car is going to a 16-year-old. It's her first car. This is not a $100,000 build. I literally used some leftover bed liner that I already had. Same thing with the doors. I mean, honestly, they looked fine beige. This is just a nice little way to customize the car a little bit. I already had the 88-cent can of spray paint from Walmart. And then I did go ahead and give it a shot of clear coat just to kind of help protect it a little bit, but it's some non-yellowing clear coat. And again, I already had the paint. So this was like a completely free project. The door locks were what cost money. It was about $80 to buy the pair, and that included both of the latch mechanisms as well as those rods. And I mean, I was looking online and on eBay, I don't know, I mean, just the set of rods was like 50 bucks for both doors, like both pair. And then, yeah, I don't know, I mean, the actuator portion down over here, those things ranged anywhere from 60 to 150, depending on make, model, you know, or what model of the car and what year of the car, which doesn't make sense because they're all interchangeable. So the only thing I had to really look for was set up for manual locks, right? Because I don't have power locks on this car. And so if you look through, you can kind of see what the beige door looks like next to the black dash. And then in my next update, what I'll do is I'll just kind of show you this same angle, but from the driver's side, so you can kind of get the full picture of what the door looks like closed and everything. And so all in all, I'm really pleased. Again, this was a very low budget deal. Oh, I didn't finish saying that. So the door lock stuff, I paid $80 shipped to my door from Facebook Marketplace. There was a guy up in Seattle who was parting out a couple of these cars. I reached out and asked what he had, or if he had these parts. He asked, you know, do you need power windows or manual? Because I only have manual. I said, perfect, that's exactly what I need. And so, yeah, he said, I'll sell them to you for 80 bucks. I'm like, man, that's a steal. So I did it. They came, no problem. Everything works. They look like they were in fantastic condition. They still had all the little rod locking tabs and all those things in place. So all in all, it was a victory.
This door, I should tell you, it really only took about 20 minutes. Once I had it all disassembled, putting the new actuator in, reassembling the actual door handle on the exterior of the car, and then snapping all the rods into place to the inside handle and door lock, I would imagine took 10 minutes, maybe 15, and then putting the door panel back on and clicking it back in and putting all the secure screws back into that, maybe another 4 or 5 minutes. So all in all, the reassembly was way faster than the disassembly because everything just fit right back together as well as it should. We'll see how the driver's side goes. Hopefully I get in there and everything is not zip tied together like this side was. We'll see. So I don't know, but like I said, you know, this is not a high build budget. We're just, or a high budget build. We're really just kind of shoestringing it together to make it a very fun, cool car for a 16-year-old girl, really who's not even 16 yet. So she's, we want to have the car done so she can start to learn on it. And then it'll be hers. So I don't want to spend a ton of money on something that's a first car anyway. All right, guys, so quick update before I wrap up the video. I did want to let you know that I did get the driver's door done. I'm going to go ahead and show that to you here in just a second. I'm also going to show you 2 more things that I did that same evening because I had some time. The driver door was a little bit of a nightmare, and I'll show you that here right now. So as I open the door, first and foremost, you're going to see that the panel has been painted. Great. I also went ahead and painted the little entry kick panel there as well. So just like the passenger side, the driver's side looks great once again. Now, as we look a little bit closer here at the door, I'm gonna come around here actually. As I took things apart, I did find that the whole actuator mechanism was zip tied just like the passenger side. So I'm not exactly sure if someone, probably the same guy, tried to take apart both doors and screwed something up, broke a rod, and just fixed it with zip ties so that the door handle operated. But the locks were inoperable and everything inside was held together with zip ties. So it has all been fixed and it is perfect as it is now. One exception, I had a bolt break right here. So I had to drill it out. It is what it is. And the bolt didn't break, it actually got stripped prior to my using it. I was able to loosen it the first time, and when I put it back together and test fit and got it all dialed in and everything, I did end up having to remove it later to adjust the rods, and that bolt ended up breaking a little bit. So that was kind of a nightmare. But once I got it figured out, everything was fine. And the door did go back together and everything did work as it should. So I'm pleased with that. I got the door panel back together. Everything looks good. The paint matches the passenger side. And again, this is a very low budget build. I'm using stuff that I already had, you know, for the most part. And so all the paint and everything, I used the last of what I had. I was able to paint both panels. I was able to clear coat both panels, and I did have some bed liner to hit those entry panels there on the floorboards, thresholds, if you will. The other 2 things that I did, and I don't have my car key on me to show you, so I'm going to show you through the window, and I don't know how good this is going to look. But if you can see down inside there, and maybe you cannot, there used to be beige carpet that matched the interior. I ended up cutting a fresh piece of essentially speaker box carpet. It is all black, and I cut it to fit inside the trunk. So now, instead of looking at an old, beat up, ugly beige piece of carpet in there, she's got a fresh piece of black carpet, which looks amazing. And again, I don't think you could see it through the window very well, but it turned out okay. And then I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you the other thing I did. If you guys remember, the nose of the car needed some work. First and foremost, you're gonna see that I did go ahead and put mesh inside these holes. Now you're gonna see little tiny pieces of white. Those are zip ties. I did use an epoxy on the back side, but the mesh was too flexible, too wobbly, and it wouldn't hold in place. So I did drill tiny, tiny holes and use zip ties to secure it all.
I'm hoping that in time I can either remove the zip ties altogether or at least swap them out for black ones so that they're a touch less obvious. Secondly, what you're going to notice is the waviness under the headlight. If you remember, there used to be really big gaps. Those are essentially gone. What I did do was pull the bumper off to install the mesh, and I found that when this bumper was installed, there used to be a crash bar under here, and it has like a mounting bracket right in here somewhere. Yeah, right in here somewhere. That, you know, the crash bar went under the old bumper, the factory bumper. It was the reinforcement. And basically that got removed with the bumper and it wouldn't fit under this aftermarket bumper. What ended up happening was the way that this bumper was fit on here, it's kind of a flexible plastic. And so my thinking is the way the car must have been sitting in the heat or the sun or whatever it is, it softened the plastic so that it basically molded around that bracket or that bolt because of the missing crash bar. So the bumper is somewhat settled in place, creating kind of a dip under the headlight. There was kind of a wavy hole, so to speak, that really just looked terrible. It made the bumper look like it was for a different car. So underneath here, I did put some reinforcements to kind of straighten things out. So that's not going to be a problem again. But my concern was long lasting. And I was thinking that basically because the bumper had, you know, essentially settled into place for so long that it wouldn't go back in place. And there was like a maybe a 5/8 or something, give or take half an inch gap under the headlights, but most of the way across. So I bought some aftermarket window or door insulation. It was a peel and stick deal. So I peeled it and put it underneath the headlight. So it's stuck on here. And in some spots it's really tight around by the front. It's a little bit, there's a little bit more space for me to get a finger in there. But for the most part, it sealed the gap. It should keep moisture and water out for the most part. And it looks a lot better. I mean, it looks more like it should. There's not a huge, you know, gap in there where you can see metal or anything underneath there or behind there. So all in all, I'm really pleased with how that turned out. So really the last couple things are just getting things buttoned up. My daughter still wants to install that spoiler. I still need to get the carbon fiber hood back on the car. I think we are gonna go ahead and try to wrap it. I have the material to do it, so we're gonna just go for it and try to do that. She still wants racing buckets, which we don't have yet. And then the other thing that we did order that's on its way is a double DIN touchscreen stereo for the dash. Right now it's got a very late 90s, early 2000s era Pioneer Premier deck in there. And I don't know the history of it. I can't really get it to function correctly. So that's coming out. And we're going to just put something a little more modern and better in there. It's got Apple CarPlay and all that stuff. So her phone can sync to it. It'll be a better situation all around, especially with hands-free driving and things like that. Speaking of speakers and stereo, inside the driver door, when I took the driver door apart, I found that the speaker wire had actually disconnected from one end of the door speaker. So that would explain the lack of music coming out of that door. So I did go ahead and rewire that up and got it all fastened and correct. So hopefully that solves that problem. Gosh, what else? I obviously still need to paint the back end of the car where the spoiler was removed, where the new bumpers are going to get put on, or sorry, bumper and side skirts are going to get put on. Those need to get painted and then installed. And so painting is still to come, but she's shopping for subs and an amp right now. And we'll hopefully have that stuff to put in with and at the same time as that double DIN deck. I'd like to get all the car audio stuff done at once. So we'll see how it goes. But that's all I got this week. Let me know your thoughts if there's something we should do that we didn't. Is there something you'd do different? Is there something I'm completely forgetting that needs to get done? Let me know. Comment down below. Like always, like and subscribe. But most importantly, remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.